greetings, good morning. Peace and blessings to everybody. Salute to you. I hope all is well. I really do hope all is well. Hope all is well. Hope all is well. Living in a society the way that this is right now, you have to constantly check on your people, even when they don't want to be checked on. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. I'm actually kind of like towards the middle of a summer cold. Let me tell you something about a summer cold. Summer colds suck because you you're in the car, you need AC, right? Or you open a window, you need to open the window, and it's all bad. So it's like, but on a bright note, I slept very well. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sandra Jean. What's going on, darling? How you doing, baby? I don't know why, Sandra. Did I give you a blue wrench and you didn't take it off, right? Because I should. You should have had a blue wrench already. Let me give you a moderator thing. You need to have that because it just looks incomplete. It looks incomplete to see this beautiful sister here. I'm here with you, Nate. You just started off the whole stream the right way. You know, let me shout out to the Queen Vegan. What up, baby girl? Oh my God, my ladies is here. My ladies is here. Hold on. I'm gonna give it to you right now. Pause. Pause. Hold on, Sandra. I'm gonna give it to you right now. Hold on. Yeah, I just did. I'm gonna give it to you right now. Welcome, darling. Good Lord. You know, the green vegan, she has a bigger situation though. Not a situation, but she has a bigger credit because the green vegan is how do I say? She's a member and she has a blue ring. So, that's my boo right there. You understand? I'm like, hold on, Nate. Yeah, what the hell's going on here? I mean, listen. I mean, you want to know the truth. Why men? When a woman asks me about why men something, I got to be very careful with that because I have to give her a disclaimer. I said, you sure you want to know that? Are you prepared to know? Anytime a man has to explain to a woman, this is what a lot of your fathers did do to your daughters. You got to give them a disclaimer. So you're not prepared for that. You're too young for that. No, no, no. You're not ready for that. Tell me, because that's all it's going to do. And then if they fail, you cover your back. You cover yourself. You understand? I'm gonna give it to you. See, so see how much better it looks now. You know what I mean? Welcome, Sandra Jean, to the platform. Excuse me, to the class. Salute to you, sister. Good Lord, Nate, you have changed my life on your topics. I need a one-on-one with you. Absolutely, hit me right. Okay, well, you got to email me. I don't know if you have Instagram now because I'm back on Instagram. Tell me which one is easier for you because if you email me, I'm going to give you my phone number, my WhatsApp number. You understand? You know I can't put that up here with all these lunatics. You understand? Or you could just hit me on my Instagram. You let me know. Okay, you said just send me an email. Okay, yeah. So I think it's better for you to hit me on the email. Email's better. Yeah, yeah. Because WhatsApp, I love, 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 love WhatsApp. So I'll give you my personal number. You understand? And we'll do our one-on-one. You understand? We'll do our one-on-one. I love WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the most amazing tool on the planet. One thing about me, I love tools. I don't like a tool set. I love tools. You understand? I love tools because tools just make life so much easier. You understand? So my email is right on the bottom, NathanielAdvice at Gmail. Right on the bottom, scrolling. Just right. See it on the bottom, on the very bottom of the screen. It says NathanielAdvice at Gmail. So hit me up on that like now, ASAP, right? And then by the time we finish up, you understand? You see. Shout out to the Green Vegan. I just left watching one of your membership lives. Everyone needs to join priceless messages. Yeah, so if you when you join, right? When you join Sandra, like the Green Vegan said, there's a lot of stuff in the membership that's exclusive that people can't see. Believe it or not, as much as you may think, some of these videos you're seeing now only because I'm behind, they're gonna disappear in about another few days. They're gonna be gone because they're gonna be in the membership. You understand? So make sure you definitely embrace that. So yeah, she's right. Those membership lives are incredible, and it's important too because here there's just a lot, man. There's just a lot. So we welcome you, Sandra. Well, we welcomed you before, but we really welcome you now. You understand? Because I had a couple of shitholes that was here with the blue wrench. I was like, how did they get that? I was like, yeah, I probably gave it to them during a live stream when I was on the phone. When you're out there and you're talking to somebody and they're on the phone and you give them a blue wrench because you don't want none of the moderators deleting them. Because sometimes I may have a person that's actually engaging, they're pretty decent, then I find out how crazy they are. You understand? So it's gonna be dope. I promise you that. So WhatsApp, I'm gonna tell you why WhatsApp is the best way to do with me because I'm long-winded and my passion is in my voice, as y'all know, right? So when I'm doing WhatsApp, I like voicemails. I like video mails. Green Vegan to tell you, especially video. Video, forget it. I'm hooked to you. Okay. You do your video mails and set that phone up. Good Lord have mercy. That to me is equivalent to you hearing a live from me. See, I don't have influencers. I don't do the influence thing at all. At all. I don't have nobody. I don't support YouTube or the YouTube channel of nobody. And if they are, they're like people that fix stuff, camera equipment and stuff like that. But I don't follow anybody on YouTube or Instagram at all. No one. You know what I mean? Or everything you hear is off the top of my dome. You understand? So salute to you, dog. You're very welcome. Shout out to Lucky Me. Where you been? God damn, where in the hell? Damn, my Lord have mercy. My West Coast women are popping up like crazy this morning. Good Lord. All right. Good Lord, I appreciate that. Lord have mercy. Yes, see, she told you. She told you. Nate likes real people. Yes. I'm telling you, man, the green vegan, though. You know the thing is in life, man, it's real hard to really, really embrace people and people to trust you, man. It's very hard. It's difficult. I myself find it harder for people around me to trust that. You know what I mean? How do you trust anybody and you've been through torture? Like, you know what I mean? It's so I get that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lucky Me. Lucky Me been down with us for a long time. Shout out to Lonnie. Shout out to Lonnie. Lonnie, listen, again, some of y'all gotta have contact with me on that Instagram. Excuse me. Instagram or the email. The email is WhatsApp, because I'll give you my phone number. We'll talk. You know what I mean? Or you do the Instagram where we just go straight to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's great. So salute to everybody, man. Good morning. So listen, I'm not perfect. I'm still a man. Okay, and a man of pigs. You know what I mean? Some pigs are good. Some people make pigs pets, and some people kill them and ate them. And some pigs they killed and they slaughtered, and they was worthless. They was spoiled. There was no good roadkill. But we are pigs, man. One way or another, we're proud pigs. You know what I mean? Some men would sit there and try to cover it up because, well, not all men. No, no man's gonna say not all men. The woman will say all men, not all men. You know what I mean? She has a different belief with us, but we're still a man. You understand? A lot of y'all probably said, "Well, how he gonna sit there and say that Green Vegan is his boo?" I say it is my boo. You goddamn right, that's my boo. You understand? She is my boo. When Usher song, my Usher song's my boo. Remember that song, my boo? You know what a boo is for a man? A boo is you can have a crush on a boo. Your boo thing. Look at you, girl. God damn, you looking. I can have a neighbor. I got a neighbor right now. She sees me. She runs for attention because she know I'm gonna light it up. Rightfully so. She know when I see her, I'm gonna go crazy. Good Lord have mercy. Look at my boo right there. She gonna be like, oh, you like? I'm like, yeah, I like those. Those are really nice. I'm loving everything. This is a good look. I like this. She loves that. I got this one. Every time she sees me, she makes sure. If I don't see her, she'll make sure I see her. You understand? Cause she know I'm gonna light it up. She know I'm gonna be like, listen, good. You understand? So she's my boo in my own little way. You understand? And this is the thing that women don't understand, man. I mean, listen, man, you got turds and you got dogs. It's a big difference. You got turds and you got dogs. Now, one of the things that's transgenerational in my family, all the damn men are players, hard body. You understand? My father's side, forget it. Them niggas is terrible. But my mother's side, they had the smooth niggas. You understand? Like my uncle Clement was smooth. He died at like 86 years old. He had 5 women around him. Who could imagine that? Legally blind, 86-year-old with 5 women. He used to always tell me, you know what? Always tell him something nice. I've never seen a man so smooth in my life. My father was smooth, but he had his little messy ways, right? My uncle, he took the epitome. He was the epitome of smooth. Because whatever I believed or maybe have a thought, and I asked him, and he says it, I said it was over. I remember years ago, I had my first love. Was it my first love? Or maybe my second love. How many loves did I have in my life? Hold on. I had a few. I'm not gonna lie, I had a few. But anyway, it was one particular love. I used to always whenever my father told me, I confirm it with my uncle Clement. Those are the two hardest players in the world. So I knew my dad, when he said it, it was real because he ain't gonna change it. And then when I go to my uncle Clement, I'm like, okay, it gotta be real. Two different two different families, because that's my mother's side. And I never know my mother had that side of it. I'm like, well, this is a good thing. So I had to endorse some of that. And being a man of a fan, of supporter, a ladies' man, you love the ladies. You understand? And you have to be able to, that has to be able to be a thing. People's gonna talk to you, they want to hear what you gotta say on thoughts. But you gotta give that woman, very important, you gotta give a woman the disclaimer. You have to. I got to give y'all disclaimers here. I'm warning you. I'm raw. You understand? So if you really can't handle that, let me know. And oh, I can handle it. You know, she may have said, "What kind of level of raw?" I said, "Well, there's no other level of raw than raw. The language, the whatever. Oh, I don't do language. I'm Christian. Okay, well, I don't think you should listen to it." And then they come in a week or two and say, "Well, I did listen to your channel." And I'm like, "Why did you do that? You already knew I had bad language on there." Well, I did learn some stuff. Well, of course you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn everything here. Everything. Everything. Shout out to the Green Vegan. Man, I appreciate you because you're not surface. You look at people's hearts. You look at people's hearts, not their looks. Yes. Yes, I do. And that's why, you know what I mean? This is why I feel that in our community, the men that have no value, whether it's in hip hop, whether it's in, a lot of these athletes want to be part of the internet and all this shit. They have influence on y'all, right? So the guy that's cocky or sure about himself, and I'm the baddest rapper, the baddest ball player, the baddest actor, y'all get influenced by him. But no man out here is strong enough to say, a woman listen to me, she'll never have a problem with a man. I'm telling you that right now. That is a fact. You listen to me, I'm telling you right now. Because the reality is that in most cases, you may not say, well, I disagree. And you're going to screw yourself because I know that man. I'm a man myself. Yeah, there's different levels to us, but we're men. We know us. You come and tell me what your man right now is going through or this, that, and the third. I'm like, well, shit, he more than likely he's depressed. Everybody depressed right now. That's another thing you got to take into consideration because a depressed soul is if you depressed and he depressed, how the hell you going to help each other? Y'all can't do shit for each other. In most cases, you don't even know y'all depressed. Most people that's depressed don't know until they're sitting in a hospital with a heart attack. That's when you know. Oh, I go to work every day. I work out every day. I eat good. Yeah, what does that mean? That don't mean shit if you got depression. All that shit goes down the drain. And you didn't know that? All of that shit goes down the drain. Okay? If you're depressed, I don't give a rat's ass how good your diet is. Okay, you don't eat carbs, you don't do this. None of that shit means nothing. You know what I mean? Believe me. You mentioned you had two loves. Because of them, I have your daughter. Because because of them, you have your daughter. Well, this is very interesting. You said that because let me share something with y'all. Thank you for bringing that up. But you know, a lot of people used to always say, I'm just surprised you didn't have like a lot of kids in an earlier time. I said, listen, my dad used to always tell me because my oldest sister, my father had her at 15. He said, Junior, you don't want to have your kids young. You want to have them when you're old, not too old, but old enough where you can concentrate on them. And boy, that's one of the biggest gems I've ever heard in my life. Because my first love, she got pregnant. My father forbidden that. Man, you're gonna fuck your life up. I never forget that. I was like maybe 20 or 19. Um, and she got pregnant. You know what I mean? And after her, I think that did a lot of trauma. It gave me trauma because I seen an abortion. I don't know if y'all seen an abortion before, but that's probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I've seen dead people. My boy owns a funeral home. I've seen murder victims. I've seen shit that people would never believe. You know what I mean? I've seen people in drive-bys and motorcycle accidents. You know, but the worst thing I've ever experienced is a woman getting an abortion. I don't even understand how that was available back then. But I was back in Central Park Avenue in Yonkers, and that's where we went. And the worst thing you ever want to see. But anyway, I remember prior to that, my dad was like, man, he wasn't happy about that. I said, yeah, Trisha's pregnant. Blah, blah, blah. It's, oh my God, man, you're gonna fuck your life up. Because his thing was, I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made. You know what I mean? Shout out to K Beauty. I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made. Okay. That was amazing. Shout out to Gail M. Shout out to Gail. Shout out to my baby Gail. I don't want you to make the mistakes. He was really big on that. And I almost believe there was certain mistakes he knew because some things he did break. Some of the generational curses he broke because the thing is with generation curses with us as men and women, you have to watch your family structure. It's very important for you to do that. Don't research anything in life but learning who your grandfather was, your grandmother, your great grandmother, great. Get involved into that. Aunts, uncles, who was this? What was this side of the family? What's their curse? Once you understand that, you always will understand self. You understand? And, um, I never regretted the child, but I did regret having an abortion or her having an abortion early because my her father, we went down to Orlando, Florida. I will never forget this. Her father was like this successful real estate man. And he loved me, you know what I mean? That was my thing. I love parents. I used to always like, I want to meet your dad. I want to meet your mother. Because I knew that they're gonna like me. So I was always that guy that when most bozo niggas, average bozo, I don't want to meet them. I'm like, nah, I want to meet your parents. And they're like, you serious? I'm like, yeah, I want to meet them. So anyway, her father was with another woman. Now check this out. My ex at the time had a very dysfunction. She lived in Queens and moved from Queens to Mount Vernon, New York. In Mount Vernon, she lived in a building with her aunt. Her aunt, Pete Game, her aunt lived in the same building as her mother. So her biological mother lived in this building. Her mother didn't deal with her. The mother, shout out to K Beauty, the mother did not deal with my woman at the time, which was her daughter. So the aunt took her in. Now she's grown at this time. She's in her 20s. We kids, like we like 20, 21. And it was one day I told her, I said, well, that's crazy. Your mother lives here? And then one day she looked out the window. I was like, oh, that's my mother. No, she was going in the building. We was in a car, and she was like, "That's my mother going in the building." I was like, "Wow." So I said, "You don't talk to your mother?" No, because my mother doesn't talk to me because I'm closer to my father, and she resented me, basically abandoned her. So the average pile of shit black man, he if he gonna do anything, he's gonna take advantage of that. See, me, I'm the type of guy that's like, wow, you know what I mean? Now, even then, as young as I was, I'm like, wow, this I could never imagine that my mother did, it's one thing when your father abandons you, but your mama, damn, you know what I'm saying? How does your mother have you when you live in a building? She don't even fuck with her own daughter. Wake up, get up every day, puts on makeup, and just deal with her daughter. So, needless to say, the mother never deal with her daughter. I'd never seen her mother face to face until this day. And this shit's back in like 94, 93, 92. Oh, let me get my math right. 90, some of I don't know, mid early 90s, right? So boom, all of a sudden, me and Trisha, well, that's her name, right? So we went to a vacation to see her father in Orlando. Father was, I was looking forward to me. I'm like, I never met her father. Her father moved from Queens. So she moved with the aunt. That's what happened. Okay, so the father, he lived in Queens, New York when I first met her. Once he left, he let her go with her aunt. So she moved to her aunt's house in Mount Vernon. So maybe she was like 19 at the time. Like I said, we was kids. So she moved to Mount Vernon, whatever, and that's what everything I told you took place. So we went down to Orlando to visit her father. And the father was chilling, like, you know what I mean? This nigga had the sick house. I remember, I don't forget, a lot of those houses in Orlando, they got pools and they got a big screen around the pool. So you could enjoy the pool. I'm not a pool person. I'm a hot tub nigga. You know what I mean? I'm not really a pool person. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to my God. Shout out to Jay. I love you, darling. So anyway, we over there. He had his nice wife and shit, and they had a who's the grandchild? So the grandchild, who the hell? They had a daughter they was raising. This girl, she's probably a grown woman by now, but I'm trying to think who the damn daughter was. Oh, okay, her son. So his my girl's my girl at the time, her father's wife was raising her granddaughter. So all these things are dysfunctional, but whatever. I'm not thinking it's dysfunction at the time because I'm like, well, at least she got a father. You know what I mean? So I remember she was like, we were staying in the house. He let me stay in the house. I thought I had to go get a hotel. He's like, no, tell him he's staying here. I was like, oh shit. So the father really liked me. So one time she tried to creep in the room and get a little quickie. I'm like, nah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never forget she closed the door. She tried to come in because when we young like that, we just want to fuck. So I'm like, nah. Anyway, she still did it. She jumped on the dick, rode it, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Bust a nice one, whatever, boom. And then she was telling me that she had a conversation with her father, told her she had to tell him that she got pregnant. Because I told her, you need to let your father know that you had this abortion. Because God forbid it's a complication in the future, blah, blah, blah. Because, she was in touch with her mother. The aunt is the aunt, but you know what I mean? So she told the father, and the father said, never do that. I was shocked. He should never do that to your body. He was disappointed. I couldn't believe it. So I kind of was like, damn, but then I would have had a kid now that would have been in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? That nigga would have been at least 30 years old right now. You know what I'm saying? And they tell you, and I don't know if y'all know, they tell you if it's a boy or girl. Yeah. So I'm not going to get into that. But moving on, throughout those years, it embedded me to have all this fun and enjoy my life because my dad instilled this mindset that he regrets having kids so young. Because before he met my mother, he had a 15-year at his first, he was married at 15. So he said, you don't want to grow up with your kids. I'll never forget that. So all them years, my 90s, early 2000, mid 2000, I was all over the place, right? So that's why it's hard for me to enjoy stuff now because I'm like, I did it during the golden era. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing's going to be compared to what it was then. We all know that, right? So my next love, she had two kids. Now, this woman, my first love was Jamaican. My second love was Puerto Rican. Fine looking woman, but she had the ugly duckling disease. She was really, really bad. really, really, really bad. Like she had insecure issues. I don't ever want to deal with that. I don't ever, 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 ever. She said, I grew up with my kids, right? Yeah, my father used to always tell me, you don't want to grow up with your kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't a good father to her. He was a better father to us, me and my two sisters. But then I got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? So I didn't do the family curse on that level. Like I didn't have a lot of kids, so I only had one child. So my second love was Naomi. Naomi was a correction officer. My cousin introduced me to her, and Naomi was a, great cook. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there because I'm being, sarcastic with it. That's all I meant talk about cook. But she was a decent lover. She wasn't the real Puerto Rican, the freak. I can't have a total ultra freak as my girl because it ain't gonna last. If you ultra freaky and you my girl, it ain't gonna last because you know what I mean. You know, I'm fucked up, you fucked up. Somebody gonna cheat on somebody. You know what I mean? So I gotta have some type of some motive. Some level of, you got to keep me level. You know what I mean? I need that balance. You got to be opposite of me. My wife is opposite. You know what I mean? Whatever I am, she's total opposite of me. So Naomi had a bad insecurity problem, and it's too much of work, man. That's a lot of work when you got to keep feeding. Now she had two kids. I didn't even have a problem with that. Aaron and Ashley. I never forgot them in the Bronx. I used to love going to her crib. 2, 3 o'clock, I go to a club. That's when going to a club was fun. You go there, and then I'm like, she said, "You hungry?" She would get up out the bed, brush her teeth, and go in that kitchen. Bing, bing, bing. Going in and getting pots and pans and cook me a meal. Ain't that some shit? I used to love how she did that, boy. That's one thing I like about the only thing I liked about, foreign women, they were big on that cooking shit. You know what I'm saying? Whether they from the West Indies, whether they Puerto Rican or Hispanic, it don't matter. Asian, I had it all. So that was my second. But that didn't last because she was all, you know what I mean? It was a lot of work. So anyway, short-lived relationship after her was she was even my second love. I'm gonna go to my second love was this woman. I can't name her name because she's probably listening. I don't know. I haven't seen her in years, but who knows, right? She had one son. So I never had a problem with a woman with kids. You know what I'm saying? My father used to always tell me, listen, if you're gonna deal with a woman with kids, just make sure if she got a boy, make sure that boy ain't over 12. You know, you don't want to deal with that shit because he could always tell you ain't my father. So, he was already giving me his game of shit he dealt with. You understand? That's just how it goes. So I had one homegirl, me and her was tight. Her name was Carolyn. And I remember she was so disappointed in me, man. Like, she was Hispanic or something. That was my nigga. Like, that was my croonie. We never got down to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was down with me. Like, we moved her. That's how long I've been in that business. We moved her to her new crib. This chick used to have horses. Little ass thing, 4'11", but this chick had horses and shit in Jersey. She was the shit, bad little bitch. So but we used to hang out and like, I let her, she used niggas. I tell her what to do. That was my nigga. Like, we was real close. I don't know if y'all know the director Jesse Terrero. That's her cousin, her first cousin. Matter of fact, I know it's her first cousin because I hit him up one day on Instagram and I'm like, yo, listen, I'm a friend of Carolyn. I haven't seen her in years. Tell her I said hello. And he said, yes, that's my cousin. Will do. And that was it. So at least I knew that was his cousin. You understand? So anyway, I remember I was over there at Caroline's on Broadway. And she used to always come to my little, that's my little side job. I used to do that, the security over there, like late at night after my other job. So she used to always come over there after work, after my, work and shit. She says, I said, I got a new, I'm like, got this new chick I'm fucking with. She's like, yeah. I said, yeah, she got a kid though. She's like, you fucking with a bitch with a kid? I never forget when she looked at me in disgust. Like she was mad at me that I had a chick with a kid. I'm like, nah, this ain't no ordinary kid. He's 7, 8 years old. You know what I'm saying? And he really was a good kid. So me and her fell in love, whatever. I didn't see that coming, but I remember I was going to Cancun in '98. And I remember I was going to Cancun and she was like, when you come back, you gonna be my man, you watch. And I'm like, nah, get the fuck out of here. Like, and sure enough, I went out to Cancun. That was a big event, one of the biggest black events in history. You'll never see that shit again. Memorial Day weekend, 1998. And we went out to Cancun, one of the best events I probably went into in my life. Phenomenal. Came back home. Yep, I fell right into the hands of that shit. Cause now I did my dirt. I came back home, fell in love with her. Long story short, we was together. Great relationship. She got pregnant. And I used to always tell girls that got pregnant, my thing was always like, yo, you know what I'm saying? And this is what I realized I wasn't having children because I kept getting them pregnant and whether it was an accident or not, it's my girlfriend, so we ain't wearing no rubber. So she says, I used to always tell girls at my time, and women will tell you this, whatever you want to do, I'll support it. And you can't tell a woman that. That's the one thing I never shared with my dad to this day, but I used to always tell women, whatever you want to do, I'm with it. You know what I mean? And a woman's gonna look at it as, oh, I'm not worth shit, so that means you're supporting an abortion. That's how she's gonna look at it. So anyway, she went to get an abortion. Um, I didn't talk her out of it. And I remember the day I picked her up because you're supposed to pick them up after abortion. And man, I don't know if y'all ever picked up a woman after abortion. It's the worst feeling in the world. They feel that their womanhood is dirt. And I picked her up or whatever. Um, and then I started realizing to myself, I said, well, damn, if my father had all these kids, how come I don't have all these kids? But then I knew the reason why is because the ways of a man is so transgenerational. He was trying to break the curse through his teachings with me. So, like Green Vegan said, if it wasn't for these women not being long term in my life, I would have never had my daughter. I would never be with the woman I'm with. You know what I'm saying? So you see how things work. So it now you look back and now you think of all the times of going through the ups and downs and why this and why that, but it all prepares you for today. So now as a man, I know the sins of me. I know the sins of me as a man. I'm aware of it. Not only do I know just as far as the biological mode of a man, I know the sins of my father. I know the sins of my uncle. I know the sins of my, well, I don't know too much about that because my mother lost her father at a very young age. Something I need to go deep on, but the closest thing I had to the men in my mother's side was my uncles. Thank God one is still here. So I knew on my father's side, the guys were ladies' man and they get distracted from pussy. But they were real men in a sense, as far as stand up, old school, don't play no games. They was official, very smart. But I know on my mother's side, the men stayed with their wives, and unless they had like an alcoholic problem. So there's all these different things, like I don't do. Like I got mad alcohol in my crib, mad alcohol at the studio, mad alcohol in my other's crib. But I don't, you know what I mean? That shit will be there forever because I use it for entertainment purposes only. So it's very important for you to know your father, even if you don't know your father. Write that down. Very important to know your father, even if you don't know your father. It's important for you to know the DNA, how powerful it is. That's why they tell you the apple don't fall too far from the tree, because there's certain ways and certain things that I could identify with my dad that I may struggle with now. And there's certain things that I don't deal with because he instilled it into me to not let it become an issue. I seen my father's side of the family, drugs and alcohol was a big problem. So that's why I don't fuck with drugs. That's why I never sold drugs, contrary to whatever anybody thinks and puts in their mind, I never sold drugs. I was never into drugs. You understand that? I was around a lot of drug dealers all my life, people that do fucked up shit. Yes, I was, but I was always the person that's respected, that they like, this nigga been around all these niggas and he never got involved with none of that shit. Because once again, I was taught as a woman and man, now I'm looking in hindsight. Now I look at my ex first love, and I look at the second love, and I look at the third and fourth. I mean, how many loves I had? Like 4 before I got to my wife. So I look at them, and then now I'm looking at the structure of how transgenerational their father's sins was to them. See, a father's sin is transgenerational, not just to the man, but to the woman as well. You understand? It's very, very important. Hold on. Lucky Me says, okay, hold on. I'm sorry, I didn't want to miss your comments. My son and daughter never disrespect their father figure. Lucky Me says, it's not like these women just dump their kids on these men. It's just like they're terrified. But see, this is the thing what women need to understand. Let me just tell you this real quick. You don't want to have children and don't put a man on to dealing with them. I'm telling you that right now. Don't hide your kids. Don't do that, because as a black man, the sins of a father is transgenerational. You can't produce and make yourself available to a man and you have children and you hide them. I know a lot of y'all think like, well, I'm not gonna bring around no man until I'm sure of the scoop, and I gotta know. Don't do that. Be careful with that. That could fuck you up. Don't do that, because all you're doing is you're putting yourself into a position to almost believe that the man has to work towards the gold, the pot of gold to meet your kids. That's not a pot of gold to a man. That's a pot of gold to you. That ain't a pot of gold to him. You know what I mean? You could date a man. A man could date a woman. Dating a man with 20 kids ain't no big deal to you as a woman, because in most cases he don't live with them. You know that. If he black, you know he probably don't take care of none of them anyway. So when you meet a woman that has children and she figures, I'm not gonna have you meet my kids for 2 years, and there's 10 kids, well, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have any kids, because I've never seen you with your children. So you kind of gotta dump these kids on these niggas. If you really want to know a nigga official and you have children, you have to involve your kids. That's the only way you're gonna know that transgenerational curse. You gotta know the type of nigga he is. You know what I mean? I tell y'all sometimes, be in a setting, go to a all-you-can-eat restaurant and invite them. And tell them, mommy, this is mommy's friend, Joey, Chris, Mark, whatever, Jaquan, Jamar, whatever. Don't hide your kids. The only time your kids shouldn't see is him coming over there and he's in your room, or y'all on the couch boot up. You know what I mean? Don't be boot up in front of your children. I mean, mommy can have endless friends. You know what I mean? Never ever do. You'll fuck yourself up like that. I'm telling you. Believe me. I'm a man. I'm telling you. We don't care how many kids you got. Doesn't matter. You hide them even better for me. You know what I mean? So shit. I hide my daughter. You hide yours. You understand? Think about it. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, if I'm out bullshitting and my wife is taking care of my daughter, and I'm over there with you hanging out, and you got 5 kids, but we out here having a good old time. We in the Bronx, going to City Island, eating seafood and shit like that. I mean, come on. I mean, it ain't to your benefit that way. Now you get close to me and you like, well, you know, Nate, I'm kind of feeling you. I want you to meet my kids. And I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to do that, but fuck it, I'll do it anyway. Now I meet your kids and I don't like the kid because the kid don't like me. I'm not feeling this whole family shit. And now I start acting up and I'm out of there. So now I got to look at it and say, is there some history on my side of the family, on my father's side of the family, of women leaving men? Yeah, there is. Or men leaving women? Yes. Because my father's father, which was my grandfather, told me, my father told me, my father left my mother. He used to take the hand-me-downs from his woman's kids that wasn't even his kids. This is my grandfather. My grandfather, this is the story my dad told me, because that means it's in my blood. You got to hear this, right? He said that my grandfather, which I love and cherish, you know, I miss him, left my grandmother for another woman, raised her kids, took the hand-me-downs, and used to give it to my father's brothers and sisters. That's trauma. So now I got to realize, like, okay, it's not traumatic for me, but it's traumatic to my dad, because he shared that story. He remembers it. Obviously, it's not nothing good. So growing up, he did whatever he had to do to make sure me and my sisters were good. He had other kids, but he raised us. He raised me and my two. You know what I'm saying? So he always made sure whatever I wanted, I would get because he knew how that was. You understand? So let's just say hypothetically, my father was out there doing his dirt, and I know one thing: he never left my mother. He ain't never bring no hand-me-downs and shit and old clothes to give to us to wear. Never did that because of how he seen his dad. When, if there's the sins of the father, he could have did the same thing and repeated that because it's in the bloodline. So what a lot of women don't do, even for yourself, you don't do the right research on your family. You got to find out the sins. Okay, because the good ain't always there. Oh, well, so tell me about our grandfather. Oh, he was good. He was a good man, hard worker. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear the bullshit. Because even you as a woman, that shit could affect you. Because that's still your grandfather. And that's in your bloodline. When you have that baby, when I seen that abortion back in 94, it was traumatic. But because I seen nothing but blood. You get it? The bloodline is the key. Once you share a bloodline with a person, something could affect you. So you as a woman, when you meet these men and he's telling you, my father wasn't shit, but I'm a better man than him, and he this, that, and the third, you're taking a very, 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 very serious risk. Because even me, if I meet a woman back then and I'm like, mother wasn't in her life, father did what he had to do, but the mother was like, you're taking a risk. You got to be careful with that. You want to have something that's somewhat normal. Because if there's a mode of, dysfunction or, abnormal, it can be dysfunctional. And it would explain to you later, the blood never lies. Write it down. The blood never lies. You don't believe me? Go get a physical. Tell them to get a blood test. They'll even ask you, you want to check if you got AIDS? You want to check if you have any STDs? The blood tells it all. The blood tells if you're going to have a heart attack. The blood tells if you have high blood pressure. The blood tells if you have blood disease, it tells it all. So that same bloodline mindset that I did as a young man, I knew I had to be careful because I knew my father's side of the family, the downfall was woman. But I also knew the uprise was woman because they had a love for women, like myself. I have an admiration for woman. Some would call it an addiction. Okay, forget the addicted to porn. Porn is porn, you know. But addicted to woman could be, oh, I just love women. I can't have a male waiter at the restaurant. I don't like male cashiers. Okay. She got to be cute. I got to see these things. If I see two males at a cashier, I go to the female one. I don't give a fuck where I'm at. You understand? If I like to see a maitre d' at the hotel that's a female. I got to see a woman. So knowing that my father's side of the family was reckless, but my mother's side of the family was a lot more organized, unless drugs or alcohol played in there. Because that killed it. But then I also have to realize, I said, well, if it's my mother's side, my father's side, those two bloodlines is in my system. So nobody pays this any attention. You don't check if depression runs in your family. You may go to these little things and check out, 23andMe and see if, what is the bloodline and who's your cousin. That's all good and dandy. That's not showing you, the depression line, the mode of, being jealous, the mode of being unhappy with yourself, the mode of being uncertain. A lot of y'all don't pay attention to that because that's you can't just look at yourself and think maybe it's something you created. That shit comes from your history. That's in your family bloodline. You're not just depressed for no reason. If you suffer depression, that's in the family bloodline. You just got to find out whose side it's on the most. It could be both. My father's side of the family, the woman or male worshippers. Once they get a man, their fucking whole life is demolished. Demolished. That's my father's side of the family. My mother's side of the family, they cater to their man. But they're strong women. They're going to survive with or without him. You dig? So the woman on my side, whoever's a sister, whoever, my cousin, my female cousins, that man will fucking destroy them. God forbid he has transgenerational issues from his father. She'll never be able to get on. And they're bright. The women on my father's side, bright. They make doctors over there. It's been proven. The male and the female have the ability to be doctors and lawyers on my father's side. No question about it. Okay? They have it. Once they get a bad nigga, that shit goes in the dumps. You have to check your chance. You got to check your history and your generation. That bloodline is key. So, how I got to this point, I looked at my history. Now I could sit back and say, now I could do an assessment on my history. It's like you working in a store, you're a manager, and you have your little Zoom meetings, and they check the profiles of, what we made last month, what we made 2 years ago, what we made this month. We got tariffs coming in, whatever it is. You work in retail. This is what they do. You yourself have to assess and look at your life and say, what is the thing that works against my family? Now y'all may say, well, the drama, and that's why I don't fuck with nobody. Yeah, but that's depression. You're no better than them. You can sit there and talk about, I don't deal with them. That's why I stay to myself. Yeah, that's you're more on the road to a heart attack than they are. Because all you doing is running away. You think you're better than your blood. You can't escape your bloodline. That's your bloodline. You have to, if you don't accept it, it will get you. Because now it's going to make you more vulnerable because you think that, well, it's just them. It ain't me. I'm totally different. It don't go like that. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to change my blood. It doesn't go that way. You got to be aware of what affects your bloodline. You got to be aware of what works against you and what could harm you because you have a history and a family of drugs and alcohol. I don't care if it was one generation. Because if it's one generation, if they dig deeper, they're going to look 4 or 5 generations later and say, oh, my so-and-so uncle in the 1800s was an alcoholic. What you see is what you get. You look at a woman, oh, this woman, because she couldn't stay with one man, she was a hoe. She probably was sexually abused. A woman, what do you think? A woman that's sexually abused just is going to be a church woman? That doesn't go that way. That plays a significant role. So the blood tells it all, and you have to tell the same on your blood. I've learned that. So yes, was I probably supportive of women getting pregnant in my past? Probably not. I should have probably told them, listen, let's just keep it. And then if they want to make the decision, that's on them, right? But I used to say, hey, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. And they didn't like that. You know what I mean? So when my child was planned, big difference. We planned, and she was pregnant. I was like hip hop hooray. You understand? Now I can't say whether my daughter would have been born or not to discredit any of the kids because they were pregnant. My exes were pregnant before my wife, right? But still in all, you have to look and know. I know on my mother and father's side the good and the bad. Trust me when I tell you. I can tell within myself. When you look at yourself, that's your bloodline. You suffer with depression, that's in your bloodline. It doesn't just happen. Okay? All right? If you're promiscuous, it's in your bloodline. Okay? If you have abandonment issues, it's in your bloodline. If you abandon, it's in your bloodline. What would I do if another woman got pregnant? God forbid. I can't run because it's in my bloodline. It's in my bloodline because my grandfather did that. Now my father didn't do it, but my grandfather did. What's another thing in the bloodline? The bloodline, a bad temper. My father's side has a bad temper, right? So as I got older, I was told to control it because it's deadly. So that's in my father's bloodline, right? My mother's side of the family are thinkers. They're more passive, which is a good thing, right? As a kid, you thought it was a punk thing, like, well, my father's side more tougher. You got to learn these bloodlines because those two bloodlines, when your parents conjoin each other, go into your blood cells and it affects you. So the struggles I may have is more or less staying focused, focusing on one woman rather than 10. It's harder to focus on one than 10. It's easy to focus on 10, especially for me. It ain't. I can do that here. I can focus on all of y'all, each and every one of you. You wouldn't even know because I'm gifted with that, right? I'm able to deal with and adapt to my surroundings. However, staying with one is a more of a challenge because of my bloodline. You understand? The grandfather thing alone didn't traumatize me, but I know it traumatized my father. But as the time he told me and taught me, it was a teaching. And I had to make sure I bring that teaching into the next generation because this is the bloodline. Some of y'all look at diabetes, high blood pressure, depression. These are all things that's in your bloodline. When you go to a physical, they ask you, you know, they give you a chart of what affects your family. Cancer, this, that. You got to be aware of that because you got to be mindful because it can affect you. Transgeneration means you're going to be affected by that. And the sins of a father, amen, the sins of a father is transgenerational. It is. Whatever his sins are, it's going to affect his son or daughter. Sometimes when you look at people that's doing wild shit, walking away from their family, nigga left his one child, abandoned his one child because his mother passed away and left a woman, went with a woman with 3 kids that was an ugly bitch. And, you got to look at it and say, it ain't her fault, it's him. That came from the father. Well, Nate, his father wasn't like that. It came from the father, his father, his father's father, his father's father. That's abandonment. That's in the bloodline. It may have skipped over his father, but it probably affected his grandfather. Nobody schooled him on that. It just doesn't just happen because of social media. That's in the blood. If you're a woman that has an ugly duckling disease and you worship men and that's in your bloodline. You just gotta, don't research everybody else's thing through Google. Check your research out. Have the ability of asking questions when these people are on the earth, if you have the privilege. I remember my uncle telling me before he passed, he said, my father used to be so happy when my grandfather used to come around. He didn't even care when he walked away, just as long as he popped back up. Like all that went out the window because he loved him so much. He was just happy to see him. So, wow, my grandfather was like that. I couldn't imagine being that way. Right. Because I didn't see my father do that to my mother. You dig? My father seen it. Not only did he see it, he he corrected it to make sure it doesn't go into the curse. That curse doesn't go into my generation. It's very, very important to study The Father. And we say the Father, our Father, the Father's Father. If your father died and you never seen him because he was you was adopted, you got to search on that bloodline. Find out what runs in your family bloodline. Forget that you have Puerto Rican or have German. That don't mean nothing. That's just showing you your identity, your nationality. You know what I'm saying? That's some ancestry shit. You understand? Ancestry is totally different. Generation is when you talking about a generation, you have to check the bloodline for what it was worth. Some people's bloodline, cancer doesn't even exist, but heart attacks too. I had a cousin, couldn't understand, right? Now he's my cousin. His family line doesn't affect me as much because his mother is part of my family, but the father, which was his father, Billy, Billy has, let's just say, okay, so Billy is not my family. He's my family by marriage, by conjointment. Billy had kids with my aunt. My aunt is my blood. Okay, do the math, or do the knowledge for that matter. Billy's family suffered heart disease. Check how deep this is. Billy has a child with my aunt. Hold on one second. Yeah. Was everything all right? Let me call you right back. So Billy, and I honestly, who the hell was paying this attention when we were kids? I learned this literally last year, maybe in 2 years. 2 years. So my cousin goes to jail. He does like 15, 20 years in jail. 20 years. Okay. Now, that's another thing on my family side of the bloodline. The criminals is on my father's side. Okay. So I gotta watch. You hear where I'm going with that. So the criminals on my father's side are a little more. The violent criminals is on my father's side, right? Brooklyn. Okay, you already know what that is. Billy has a child, two sons. Let's stick with the sons. I ain't gonna put the daughters in there because I haven't seen them. The son comes home from jail, feels this pain in his chest. I never forget. It's 2007. He comes home from jail. He feels this pain in his chest, but he does push-ups. He said he just thought it was a cramp. He was having a heart attack. So for you, I'm like, how the fuck you have a heart attack? You young? I'm confused. So fast forward 2022, 23, he has a big heart issue. My uncle calls me, listen, your cousin's in the hospital. Um, he's gonna have a big surgery because he's had some heart issues. I'm like, how in the fuck this nigga got heart issues? Like, he may smoke a cigarette, whatever, whatever. I'm like, wow. Fast forward last year, let's just say May of 2024. Well, I just want to tell you, your cousin had a surgery. Give him a call, whatever. That's what my uncle's calling me. He has his surgery, blah, 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 blah. He had heart surgery, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry, 23. 23 had a heart surgery. 24, which was early last year, he's back in the hospital. This nigga's 50 years old, man. 50. Good looking dude. Stay in shape. Ladies, man, you know, he got mad bitches, all the above. You know, loves his daughter. Came up rough, though. They came up with a lot rougher than, you know what I mean? I didn't come up like that. Father's Day. They were supposed to do this emergency thing because his head was swollen where they had to break his skull. Whatever. He had something happen. I forgot exactly through the heart. That's what the heart does. It affects everything. He has this surgery. The surgery went well. He fucking dies on Father's Day. I said, what? He dies on Father's Day. Young man. So his brother does the justice, does what he got to do, the funeral, that he has a thing in his heart. I forgot what it's called. What's that thing called? Oh man, it's like a meter they put on your heart. I forgot what it's called. Somebody could tell me in the chat. But he tells me he has that in his heart. I said, what? He said, yeah. Now, on top of the fact he's a business owner in Atlanta, um, he eats a lot, you know what I'm saying? He's a little overweight, but he has this thing in his heart to monitor it or something. I forgot what it's a pacemaker. Yes, yes, thank you. Pacemaker. Thank you, Tay. Thank you, Kirby. Yes, he has a pacemaker. So the brother's like 56, 57. So then I had to ask him, I said, let me ask you a question, man. Does this affect our bloodline? Because I'm taking this as a mode of me learning because it affects my bloodline. It's still my cousin, right? So it still affects me. Like depression leads to a heart attack. I know that. But this ain't just no depression shit here. Or is it? He said, no, my father had heart disease. I said, there you go. So now you think I'm out of the will. Well, Nate, you out of the will. That was their father. Not necessarily. Because why did his father have heart disease? Was it because it was just a mode of this in the bloodline with the heart, or was it that they suffered depression? Either way, as a black man, as a family member, as my cousin, as my family, it still affects me. Because you can die from a heart attack from depression. So my cousin's death didn't even hit me yet. It's just weird because it doesn't even feel like he died because it happened so fast. But what did happen, what I learned from it was all of these years it took me to learn that my cousin had an issue in their bloodline with their heart from their father. We don't go into that. We want to tell me about yourself, what your likes and dislikes. No. Tell me about your family culture. No. We got to go in that damn bloodline. And the only way we're gonna go in the bloodline, you got to tell me the sins. I need to hear the bullshit. If I choose to be with you, I need to know the deal. I remember my wife told me about my wife's brother, my brother-in-law told me in my face, my father didn't teach us nothing about women. I will never forget those words as long as I live. So now I see why my brothers is so fucked up. Like mentally, all of them. Because the older brother shared a transgenerational curse with me. He was a great prominent man, my father-in-law, but he also affected them negatively because he didn't teach them. To not teach your children is a sin. He didn't teach them about women. My dad did. So we entirely, as we got older, we grew apart. Two different levels, two different roads, two different people. Me being around men that didn't learn anything about women from his father, I mean, come on. We have nothing in common as we get older. We're going to grow apart. He may have the same admiration. He may like this. Damn, she got a fat butt. This one's thick. This one's slim. Yeah, but it's still not going to be the same because they have a curse. When something that was supposed to be a non-curse or killer curse to teach, they didn't do that. So that's why it's important for you as men and women to learn yourself. Learning yourself is to learn your family. You got to study that bloodline. Again, I'm not telling you to get on Ancestry or 23andMe. That's not what I'm talking about. That ain't shit. Okay? You're going to find out you have this and have that. That's cute. You have to get deep into that bloodline. Talk to your elders. Find out about their grandfather's father. Listen, just listen. If they're still here, you got it. If you don't have it, do the research on that. Look at that family tree and find out who was who and what were they doing. You can't just find out that my cousin was cute or we have Indian in our family, my hair was this way. You got to find out why. If you suffer with motherfucking damn depression, that's in the blood. You suffer with damn obesity, that's in the blood. Heart disease, that's in the blood. Drugs and alcohol, that's in the blood. You don't just like to drink. Alcoholism, if that shit is in your bloodline, you can't fuck around and drink. That's why they tell you to break the generational curse. You got to know the curse on that family because everybody got one. You understand? Don't look at the bright side all the time. You got to look at that curse. I don't want to know the bright shit. I want to know that goddamn curse. Nate, I salute you for showing such kindness by talking to and to me about your family and Nate to giving guidance to this class. Yes. Yes. A ladies' man is a curse. For me, it is. I'm a ladies' man. That's a great thing for a man that wasn't a ladies' man. It's a curse. That's a curse. That is my father's curse on the side of the family. Okay? Because they were messy with it. My uncle's side, my mother's side, they're a little more organized. Okay, these niggas had women buying them homes. You understand? So a lot of times when people be like, yo, fuck, that's why I want me a young girl. If I was a player, I'd get an older woman. An older woman with money. That's my shit. You would see me with an older woman that was rich. Okay, a younger woman can't do it. That's the curse of the black man is that young little porn slut. That's because that's what he want. Okay, but what I need is two entirely different things. You got to know what curses that black man. You got to know that curse. You don't know that curse, you're finished. You know when you meet that black woman, in most cases, her father didn't teach her shit. Okay, she probably was influenced by her male brothers that were all shit. She probably was influenced by that fucking boyfriend. Okay, you gotta learn that. Nate is right. Elders don't share everything. You have to ask. That's why they call them the silent generation. Yes, they are the silent generation for that reason. Some of y'all got grandmothers and great grandmothers that were whores. You would never know that when you see them in a picture with a nice little hat on. And some people look at old ladies and say, "Oh, they probably didn't do what we did." How you think they got 10 kids? My grandmother had 10 children, and my mother always said, on my mother's side, me and my brothers never had a fight. My mother said her brothers and sisters never had a disagreement. That's heavy, right? But on my father's side, forget it. They hate fucking each other. Okay, because my father's side is more niggas. Now, the newer generation on my mother's side is a pile of shit. I don't like them. The newer generation on my mother's side is garbage, right? But looking in the history of it, that's not us. That generation's on their own, right? So they're trying to break the family tradition, the family love, the family bloodline with the bullshit. That could happen too. Okay, Tate Kennedy says, "What if older women don't like you and young girls do?" Nah, you don't want no young girl, man. It's nothing but problems. Believe me, I attract young women all my life. I always been like this. I don't fuck with them. I don't like young girls. I don't fuck with them. They broke. They can't do shit. Can't do nothing. You're not gonna be an old man and deal with a billionaire younger woman. This is not gonna happen. She don't have to do that. Why would she do that? She'll get a man her age. And the fact that the black man curses of that, I find younger women attractive. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you I don't. Of course, I'm a ladies' man, but I don't fuck with young women. Only thing you're gonna do with a young woman is what she gonna give you some pussy. What's she gonna do? You know, God forbid she find out you married, she gonna knock on the door, fuck my whole family up. That's what she gonna do. I was told if you ever gonna step out, get you an old rich white woman, an old rich black woman, an old rich Asian woman, an old rich woman. That's what I was told. Especially if she white. So it ain't worth it. Because in my family bloodline, the men on one end and the other end, they didn't follow that. But my father taught me for a reason. He said they always want one. No, it's not that they always want one. Because when you are old man, a woman don't respect the old nigga. It's privileged to be with a younger woman. But it's a more privilege when you young, when you're an old nigga, now you got an older woman. Now you a young nigga again. See, I gotta feel young. And some men may feel, well, he don't want a woman his age to feel young. Yeah, well, he's gonna feel old if she's the same age. Yeah, but I give me somebody 65, 70. I'm cool with that. I like 60, 60, 65. I'm good on that. And you fine and sexy with a pension or whatever, I, I I'm cool with that. I like them older. Again, if I was gonna do that, young the average black male, that's what he gonna go for is a younger woman. No, I'm good. I One thing I was taught to always be different. My father said, Junior, when that black man got it, he fucks it all up. Go that way. He never used the word nigga. I never heard my father say the word nigga in my life. I never heard him say nigga ever. He said the N word. That's what he used to say. But he said that ghetto black. He always say, stay away from anything that ghetto black do. He always told me that. And that's why I'm the way I am. That's why y'all see me so hard on that ghetto black. I fucking hate him. I probably have a hatred for him because I know how fucked up, how much of a piece of shit he is for our damn family. You understand? But then again, I had ghetto black niggas on my father's side. I got ghetto black motherfuckers on my mother's side. So, you know what I mean? So when an older man tells me I like a younger woman, that to me is nothing but a pedophile. Every man I know that's old says that to me is a pedophile. You know what I mean? I'm more impressed by a nigga that, you know who's impressive? The most impressive nigga in the game to me is the dude that got Kris Jenner. That motherfucker's in a golden position. He got an old billionaire white woman. Ahmad Rashad. Okay, even though he left Felicia Rashad, that's kind of fucked up, but he left her for a rich white bitch. Big difference. You know what I mean? So if you have a family bloodline and y'all known to leave women for rich billionaires, I mean, hey, that's not all the way bad. You understand? But most of these niggas just be leaving women for pussy. That shit is whack. You know? That's just corny. You know what I mean? So that's how come I was never into that. I was never into what a nigga's into on the average. If he's into that, I'm like, no, I'm good. He's doing it, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's not my thing. You into that? No, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so you got to do that. So I'm sharing this with you is because even sometimes I get off the left of it and the right, and I'm like, oh wow, and I got to go back to let me go back to my family line, and then I say, oh okay. So sometimes a woman that I encourage here or I run into, and they may be going through some mental things, and I'm like, well, I don't know her family line, but I'm pretty sure that's the answer. You get into that family bloodline, you'll see. I'm telling you, it's in the blood. It's all in the blood. It's not just a medical thing. It's formal. You have to look at the bloodline. Ask questions. If you got one person here, don't one elder. Don't even ask them how was things back then. Tell me about grandpa. Tell me about my great grandfather. Tell me about your father. Tell me about my grandmother that you didn't see. You got to ask some questions. It's all relative. Very, very important. So kind of look at this situation, this world that we live in right now, and watching everybody's business and all. I mean, that shit, man. That's just you making it worse. Now you got a fucked up bloodline, and now you watching everybody's business. I mean, we all got that damn disease because we do social media, but it ain't good. That's why there's so much of hatred in the world because everybody don't know which way to turn. People are just doing what they want to do and not realizing, like, yo, there's things I gotta be careful with that could affect me. Then y'all go to the doctor and he tells you that you got stage 4 cancer, then it's too late. You didn't pay attention to your bloodline. They don't teach that in school for people to pay attention to your bloodline. You got to learn that. That's why you got to ask elders questions. See, these young niggas are stupid. All they do is, old this, old that, auntie, unk, and all that dumb shit. They don't ask the OGs questions like when we were kids. You got to ask questions. Same thing how y'all do history. They sit down and do these podcasts. Tell me how I was working around Pac. You know what I mean? I'm different. If I was talking to Pac's mother, if she was alive, or Biggie's mother, tell me about his father. Tell me about your dad. Tell me about Biggie's father. Well, I didn't know too much about him. You know what I mean? It comes from there. You look at somebody, that's a bloodline. When you look at somebody physically, that's a bloodline. You can look at somebody 300-400 years ago, you're gonna see their blood in that person. Wow, look at the face. You ever see some people that look just like their mother and father? That's the bloodline. And that goes into generation. Person passes on, you see somebody like, wow, you look at Diddy's son. As annoying as Diddy's son is, that's his son, not the stepson, not the one that is the claim jumper that wants to be the son. That's really Albie Shore's son. We okay, um, and not the son. Well, he does have one, Justin. No, the other son that he has from Kim Porter. They're like, well, why? How come Kim Porter's son looks the way? Because Kim Porter was half white. That's why Diddy's son looks like that. That's all generation genetics, right? So genetics generation, it hands down. You see, if you look at Diddy and you see Diddy's father and had a picture, so you're gonna see Diddy. He's just like his father. It's in the blood. That's why the family blood is the family blood. That's why they tell you blood and Crips. These niggas blood in, blood out. That's a family. Now, it's not a good family. That's why it's called a gang. Any family that's a damn something negative is called a gang, right? But you have to learn the bloodline. Yeah, Kim Porter's half white, man. Her mother's white. That's why she looks. That's why her hair is textures like that. You don't see a brown. You see a dark-skinned woman with white people hair. Let's keep it a stack. Come on now. I mean, you got to do the research in that blood. That's not normal. It's exotic. Kim Porter was exotic because she had a different. Average black woman doesn't have hair like that. Most black people don't have hair like that. You know what I'm saying? You got light-skinned women that got nappy fucking heads, and you got dark-skinned women out here that got hairs of silk. It all depends. It's all in the blood. That's why when people have children, if you look at a person and you lost your mother and father, okay, and you look at their mother and father, their biological mother and father, you'll get the answer there. Some of y'all be like, oh, they look nothing like their mother and father. They will. You may not look like it when you old. I mean, when you young, you're going to look like them when you old. One way or another, you will look like them. It's in the blood. It's always going to show that. That's why they call you biological parents. Some show it sooner than others. And if you don't see it physically, you're going to see it in the DNA. You're going to see it in the bloodline. You're going to see certain curses that affected the family that instilled in that person. When you see a woman that's lousy and choosing no good niggas all her fucking life, that's in the blood, man. Some women come from a bloodline of family from male worshipers. They just chose abusive men. Yeah, y'all just Googled her. I'm telling you. I knew that then. I said, if you think about it, Kim Porter, why she looks so exotic? Because if you thought about her, she's like a white woman with thick lips. She had Latin features. She didn't have black features. It was her skin. But her hair, her lips, her nose, her lips were black. That came from the father's side. But that nose and that forehead and that head, you got to remember, Amber Rose, you look at Amber Rose, there's some black in her. No white woman has a head like that. What makes Amber Rose black is the tone of her voice. Like Mariah Carey, they both got that black tone. They sound like black women. But if you look at it, if you look at if you look at Kanye West's head bald, and you look at Amber Rose's head bald, those are Afrocentric heads. That's some Neanderthal shit. White women don't have heads like that. So people just look at things from an ancestry perspective. You can't do it like that. Ask questions. You can sit and ask a woman, tell me about your father. She can, oh, he was good. He was a great supporter. And now you think you got an answer. That's not enough. You got to dig deep on that. And the only way you're going to dig deeper, she got to go deeper. She may know and not tell you, and you may never know. So you may just be with a woman you're never going to know until you have kids with her. And now you woke up and you realize your kid's all fucked up. 16 years old, he's suffering with depression because you didn't study the family's bloodline. I have people here that I listen to and talk to on a personal level, and I had to learn that and say, well, I don't know her father and mother, but the answer's right in there. Okay, what do they do when that plane crashes? Every time that fucking plane crashes, what's the first thing they do? They get the black box because all the information is there. That's the heart and soul of the plane. Even if 100, 300 people could have got killed on that damn plane, that fucking black box is going to tell everything. You see your check engine light go on your car. What do? They plug in and it tells them exactly what's the problem. Bin to, needs starter, uh, something in the fuel injection. You know what I mean? It's going to tell you in the computer. So you as a person have to start thinking of beyond this AI bullshit, beyond everything else, get into a person's bloodline by getting into yours. Write it down. Get into a person's bloodline by getting into yours. The only way to know a bloodline of a human being is to understand and know yours. I know mine. I know the things that work against it. I know the generational curses. I know the transgenerational things that we suffer with. And I know the things that have been broken. I know the curses I have broken. Me personally. I will tell you, Aaliyah died as well in the plane. Right, but at the end of the day, that was that could have been a sabotage. We don't know that. Aaliyah's death is different. I wish I had Aaliyah. I wish Aaliyah still was here. I wish I could talk to Aaliyah's parents. I could tell you a lot about that. Damn, the plane crash. We know she died how she died. That was easy. I want to know her mental state of dealing with these grown ass men. One thing about me, if I see a younger woman with an old man at that age, something is, you know what I mean? That's the highest level of a pedophile. That's why I was never into that. You go into R. Kelly's bloodline and go into Aaliyah's bloodline. Aaliyah's side, the fathers are probably the men were probably raping the daughters back then. How does a daughter at 15-year-old want to marry a fucking 25-year-old fucking man? You gotta think about that. What the hell was she missing? She had the talent. She was beautiful. Yeah, we see all that cute shit. We see the generation on that level. But what would make a woman marry, a young woman marry some old fucking geezer? You understand? I could see a woman older marrying a younger nigga. She rich. She's on top of the world. There's some confidence in that. Because the average old nigga want a young bitch, but when a man want a younger woman, that's a level of porn. That fuck pornographic nigga. That's pedophilia. That's a sickness. That's why I don't have a lot of friends that I can talk to because most of these niggas is in the fucking kids. Once niggas start getting old, you could tell when they get old because they're gonna start being in a younger woman. That's when they start going backwards. Y'all didn't know that? You see a woman that's 50 years old and she dating a 25-year-old. Well, that clearly means it's the same as seeing a lipstick dyke with a damn masculine fucking female that looks like a man. That obviously she was neglected from men. But when you see an older rich woman and she's at her highest sex drive At 80 years old, if she got a younger man in his 50s, that's understandable because a man in his 80s can't perform. The fuck is he gonna do for her? He can't do nothing. He's dead. So she has to get that in order. She got everything else. She needs some good dick. You can't listen to the young man or the older man about, oh, she's just the old bitch. Don't listen to him because he's gonna date his fucking daughter's friends. You know what I mean? You don't want to listen to him. He has no talk for me. But a guy that knows that he gonna get him an old rich white woman, he's on a whole complete different level. Mary J. Blige or something. These are stupid motherfuckers. These niggas will date the rich woman his age and go fuck trick on a young bitch. Wendy Williams' husband. They all do that. You know, they pimp their wives. You don't do that. You gonna pimp your wife, nigga. That's crazy. You're supposed to pimp the bitch you see on the side. Like, what's the point? So what's the point of being with your wife? You go and see the younger bitch and you trying to keep up with her? I mean, good luck with that. Good luck with that. It went bad. I got rid of it. But there's another one in the refrigerator in the garage. So sorry about that, Halima. So you have to think of the layout of yourself, to know yourself, know your bloodline. And don't look at the good, oh, there were doctors, lawyers from that. That's not important. What's important is the diseases that affect you. You don't believe me? Go get a physical, and that's the first thing they're gonna ask you. Okay? They're gonna give you a chart and they're gonna ask you what affects your family. Does diabetes run in your family? Does depression run in your family? Does heart disease run in your family? Because that's going to be able to them to determine once they get your blood, they're going to be able to link that together. So you, from a non-medical perspective, you have to check that by doing your history with the family. Yo, my girls, you could date a girl that has 7 different babies' fathers, about seven different babies' fathers. That's in the bloodline. What went wrong there is you didn't look at the bloodline. You got to look at the bloodline. There's no woman's gonna have 7 kids by 7 different babies' fathers. That's abnormal. You got to do the research with that. Because one way or another, one side of that family is the reason why she's fucked up like that. In most cases, it's the father's side. The father's side is more transgenerational because he's the one that's he's busting the nut. When a man busts a nut inside of a woman, he's sending his sins inside of her. God damn, let me drop the microphone. When he's shooting inside of you, he's sending the venom inside. So when you are having sex with a man, whether you're having children or not, okay, and he is low vibrational, and he puts that cum and shoots it inside of you, you receive it. That's it. Now it's inside of you. He just transferred his venom into you. Okay? So when a woman has 7 different babies' fathers, I guarantee all seven of them are garbage. All 7. I know that without even looking at it. You remember you used to watch the Maury Povich show? Remember Maury? And they show you the 5 different fathers that they checking on to be with her, and all them niggas was dirt. None of them were good. They can't be good. Because now her bloodline is going to allow only to transgenerate garbage inside of her. That's why they tell you with a woman, when you open your legs to a man, that's a whole different. You gonna open your legs to a man, make sure he a good man. Look at them porn stars. Why you think they jumping off of roofs and terraces and bridges, stuff with them? I mean, come on now. You can't be a porn star as a woman and be. Come on now. There's no way you can do that and love yourself. I don't care how much makeup she got. I don't care how pretty she is. It means nothing. Okay? You don't believe me? Let a snake bite you. Let that fucking rattlesnake or that boa constrictor bite you and put that venom in your blood and see what happens to your fucking body. See how quick your shit. See what happens. Let a snake bite you and get back to me. Now you're paralyzed from the neck down. You're like, Nate, I don't understand. This fucking snake just bit me. This fucking snake. He bit. What happened? I said, well, shit, he put venom inside your blood. That's what it does. What do they do with death? Death by lethal injection. They go to your bloodline. The blood is that's the segue to your life. When you cut yourself, that's the tip of the iceberg. But when you see somebody get shot, you see all that blood come out. Blood ain't made to come out, it's made to stay in there. You understand? But you got to think about all the things that's in that blood. That's why when they do blood transfusions, they got to check the blood to see what kind of line. Some of y'all had blood transfusions probably from bad accidents, and you don't know whose blood you got in your body. That's another thing. Blood never lies. So when you're dealing with a woman that may be a little cuckoo or a nigga that may be a little fucking crazy, go into their bloodline and it'll show you everything. It never fails. The blood never lies. And that's why sins of a father is transgenerational to his family, his children, his grandchildren. Some of your kids, y'all have sins from your father. You never met your father. You never met your grandfather. You never met your great, but it's in your blood. It's showing through your kids. It's showing through you. I'm aware of that. That's why I wear my hat so strong, because I'm aware of that. Sometimes on my mother's side, sometimes on my father's side. Sometimes I struggle being on my father's side. Sometimes I struggle with my mother's side. Sometimes I have to think because I know my two bloodlines could affect me. I know the generational curse. At a split of a dime, at a drop of a dime, could all go downhill from there. Because I know the curse. You know what? What my family had done. Nothing. Let me think about that. You know what? That's okay. Stay away from that shit. You understand? Oh, some of these women are lunatics. Well, why? Why are they? Nobody's born a lunatic now. That just comes in from the blood. You know, you're depressed, you're down and out. That's coming from something. Oh, it's my job. It ain't your blood. Depression affects your bloodline. Check your family. Depression is a disease. If you're a manic depressive, that's in your bloodline. You don't just become depressed because you've been through shit. There's people out here that have been through worse. How many times you see people that have been through worse than you? You're like, well, I could have never handled that. Right. They could. You meet people with depression runs in their family, forget it. That's a disease. You got to treat that like a disease. You know? Just beware that it could happen. So now you have a kid with this woman, right? You put in your positive blood into her, and she has a disease that heavy in the damn game with the family bloodline, because both of her families, both of them suffer with that. That's going to liable. Your kid's going to be 15 years old. She's going to be dealing with 30-year-old man because she's going to suffer with that. Most chicks I mess with were exactly like their mothers. Right, but if they're like their mothers, it's because of the father, because the father's sins are transgenerational. So if they were like their mothers, that came from the father. Remember, the father is the one that puts in the sperm. So if the mother was, if the woman was like her mother in a negative way, it comes from the father. Whether it's her, whether it's the daughter's father, or whether it was the mother's father. A man that's a womanizer, he has to be careful. I gotta be careful. I'm not a womanizer, but I'm saying I gotta be careful, because if I'm a ladies' man, my daughter could attract a ladies' man too. Gotta be careful of that. I have to be mindful of that. When I'm out and about with her, you know what I mean? I see something attractive, I turn the other fucking way. You know what I'm saying? Cause I may think, well, she's young, she ain't paying attention, and now down the line she gonna fuck with a nigga like that, if not worse. So any man that's a womanizer, not saying I'm a womanizer, but let's say if a man is a womanizer, hypothetically, if a man is a womanizer, that daughter's gonna be fucked up. That affects her. The sins of a father is transgenerational. It's got nothing to just do with men. It's men and women. It's transgenerational, all generations. Okay, it affects your grandkids, your future grandkids, your future kids. It affects the future. Look at Trump's bloodline. It's all fucked up over there. You think his sons and daughters are going to be any better? Look at the father. Well, how about a man that's a mama's boy? Same thing. He's a mama's boy because the father wasn't around. So now he's got abandonment issues because on his father's bloodline, that they show that they leave their mothers behind. So now he's being that all affects. It's all relative. Whether you got kids or not, it will affect you. Y'all just go on the cute side. Like, don't I look like my father? He was handsome. Oh, he was cute. Yeah, that's cool and dandy, but it's deeper than that. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope I didn't take too much of your time today. But instead of going to Ancestry.com, instead of going to 23andMe and checking out all these bloodlines that you may have in you because you want to see if you got some Indian or white in your blood, that's a bunch of crock of shit. Learn the bloodline on what affects your family. And you can start by learning medically. Learn if heart disease affects it. Learn if diabetes affects it. Hypertension, depression, drugs, alcohol. Drugs is a disease. Alcohol is a disease. You have to learn that. And when you learn it, say, you know what? I got to break this family curse because I found out in my bloodline, people, they did a lot of drugs. I found out that my fathers were womanized. I found out that my mothers and they were male worshipers. You know what I mean? That's in the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Star Spiral. I don't usually comment, but I had to take this amazing show, Love from the UK. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave that comment up there because I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much, man. Love you for that. Thank you, Star Spiral. Beautiful. Thank you. It's the truth. Oh, I'm going to go to another country and get me a man or get me a girl. What good is it? Now you go to another country, a man goes gets a girl from the Latin country. You don't know her bloodline. You don't even know her language. And you putting a raw dick inside of somebody like that and you want to have a baby? That's crazy. That kid's going to be all fucked up. Oh, that's not true. My boy had a girl and the kid came out to be. Trust me when I tell you, you got to learn the bloodlines. You understand? And you got to realize why would you bring, if cancer runs in one person's bloodline and you have cancer running in yours, you're going to make it more rapid and stronger. Maybe y'all shouldn't have kids together. You have to learn that. Hey, listen, I was thinking yesterday, we had a nice conversation. I learned about your family bloodline. And, I'm a little concerned because you said depression runs inside and my depression runs on my side. And, you know what I mean? You got to think of that because y'all may not be good for each other, even if you're not having children. You don't have to have children. You depressed, I'm depressed because my family bloodline has a high level of depression. Your family has a high level of depression. God damn, we're going to be a disaster together. But if you have somebody and you're like, you know what? Something positive is in their bloodline and my bloodline may not be, that you could break a curse like that. That's a good thing. It's a good thing to, when you're getting to know somebody, learn their family history. Don't just ask about how tall a nigga is. Well, that's in the bloodline because if a person's short, it's on who's the short people on their side. My daughter's tall. So my daughter's tall because of my father's side, they're tall. That's why my daughter's so tall at 4 years old. People think she's 7, 8 years old. She's 4. Because of the bloodline on my father's side, they're all giants. So the height from me being 6'5" comes from my father. It doesn't come from my mother. The shoulders come from my mother's side. Alexander Man didn't have the shoulders like that. The lips come from my mother's side. The head structure comes from my father's side, the long head. You understand? The big feet comes from my father. It's all that's how you create. So you are a representation of your family. That's everybody's a representation of their family. Everybody, every human being walking, every human being that has perished, you are a representation of your bloodline. You put them two conjoining things together. That's why when brothers and sisters have kids, it fucks up the chromosomes because that's not supposed to be. That's abnormal. You have bitten pieces of your mother and father. So when people that know your mother and father and they perish, they look at you and say, "Oh my gosh, you look like your mother. Oh my goodness." And they stare at you. You can't see it, but they can. They always can see it. You're supposed to know it though. When my daughter gets tall, they're going to say, "Well, where did you get your height from?" They're going to see the father and say, "Oh, you got it from him." Well, they got to see the father's father. Okay, you got to see the grandfather. I assume my great 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 grandfather was tall too. So where does the light skin come from? Okay, well, we had white in our family. Well, let's get off that. That's not important. What's important is when you see yourself, you are a representation of your blood. You're your blood. Okay, you cut yourself, that's your blood. Abuse can be spread from healed on. Yes, abuse is a family disease, it's a family curse. Okay, the goal for you as a family member, you're supposed to break the curse, especially when you know the curse. So when you're aware of the curse, beware of the curse. Write that down. When you're aware of the curse, beware of the curse and correct the curse. You know that diabetes affects your family? You can correct that. You understand? Karen say, you think she'll be like 5'11", the tallest of damn your child? I'm not sure, but I know the doctor looked at us and said she's going to be tall because she's past the average. She's taller than the average kid her height. And he said it's coming from him. He don't know my bloodline, but he knows my bloodline physically to know that, well, that's transgenerational. There's some stuff that's transgenerational too. Okay, not just the sins, right? He looks at the mother. If the mother was tall, he would have said, well, goddamn, both of y'all tall. This kid's gonna be gigantic. You know what I mean? Can diabetes be reversed if it runs in the family? If you're aware of it, you can correct it because diabetes is a family curse. Oh, there's nothing you can do. It's generational. That's not true. Don't believe that. Great question, Jay Reed. If you're aware of what affects your family, because what runs in your family, you had parents that died, uh, uncles that died, cousins, and you know that things that affect them, there's things that you could reverse. You could reverse cancer. There's some things you can reverse. And there's some unfortunate things that just gonna happen. But it's all in the bloodline. Once you're a vet, once you know what a person died from, it could affect you. So that's your chance to reverse it. Obesity doesn't mean people are sick. Obesity just basically means that you have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a disease of the family bloodline. Now you got to find out why is it there because of their diet. That's a disease. Food addiction is a disease. Okay, or is it depression, hypertension? Is that from salt? Or is that from depression? Some people just stay. Some people suffer with depression. You can't look at a person that suffers with depression. You don't know. You got to look at that bloodline. You understand? Yeah. So diabetes could be reversed. Any disease can be reversed when you know that it affects the bloodline because now you could take the precautions to avoid it. and break the family curse. You understand? Being that the sins of a father is transgenerational, you can break a lot of the curses. Some people choose to do it, some people choose not to, but you can do it, especially if you know early enough. If a woman has a kid from a short, you ever see two little people that have a baby and they may be a little person too. So take heed of that, ladies and gentlemen. Much love to y'all. I really want you to enjoy your day, man, and just keep the positive mindset, man, because this world will pull you down. Okay, that's actually something you got to be careful of too, because a society that's highly contagious. Failure is highly contagious. Failure is more contagious than success. Success is not contagious. Failure is. Be very careful with that. It's hard to get successful, but boy, it's easy to fail because it's so contagious. It's easy to catch. Things that's contagious is easy. You know, you have a cold. My daughter has a cold. I have a cold now. I have a cold from my daughter. You know what I mean? It's contagious. When things are contagious, it's easy to submit, right? It's easy to get. You transmit it. So when a woman is having sex with a man, he's transmitting his bodily fluids inside of her. That's what he's doing. So be mindful of that. Enjoy your day. I love you all. Peace.